We're on. Okay, Beyond the Battlefield, episode 23. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's totally free and it helps us push this podcast out to the masses. And today's guest is Damian, Obiwan, Todd, or Toddy, or Damian, or Obi. I was just said, where did you inherit Obiwan from?
The very short version, I was just about to leave Sweden and move to Oz. And I had a mate who had been training some sort of basic MMA stuff and the like. He was a DJ. I forget his name. Let's call him Sven for the sake of it. I do know his name, but my memory with names, pictures is good, names is terrible. And he'd put me down for doing all this training for him. And we go to a club. I remember chatting to him and some of his friends as he was like spinning the wheels. And I was chatting away in Swedish, because I could still speak Swedish. And I said, yeah, you're fit, but you won't really show me how fit you are until you can do an impossible press up. What's that? I said, well, I tried to demonstrate completely flat on the floor, fingertips, toes, and you just create an arch, the perfect arch, by not doing like a caterpillar, you just lift up like so. How'd you do that? I said, who's the force? He said, who the fuck do you think you are? Obi-Wan Kenobi. I went, yeah. Anyway, he disappears. I'm still chatting away to these people. And I hear in the background, I hear my name and then going, oh, is he saying that I'm going to do this right now? This is 11:30, 3 pints down-ish, let's call it. And they said, yeah. Knowing Swedes, and love Swedes, you know, I'm inherently part of me is Swedish now, having lived there a couple of years. Always filling the pints. Dance floor is covered in who knows what. Anyway, everyone clears. So it's like John Travolta, but shit. I go out in the middle of the floor. I think, I haven't done this for years, man. I don't know how this is going to go, but yeah, I was pretty strong still. Lay on the floor, everyone's clapping and cheering, do it. And then just a bit, and I lift up, I go, yeah, and instant stars, I can see them, but I just shifted to the left, lifted my hand, waved to him, and then collapsed. And everyone's like, oh, clapping and cheering, patting the back. He came back across out of his DJ booth after spooling off stuff. You're fucking Obi-Wan. So when I moved to Australia, a couple of months later, and eventually when I started Dits, everyone said, oh, what's your name? It's Todd, it's Obi. I just a bit like a Prince moment.
Yeah.
But again, not as much cash.
Yeah.
Taller.
Yeah. Can you do that demo now, that press up? Can you?
Nah,
Good.
not really.
No, we'll do it afterwards.
Yeah, maybe.
So look, we were introduced a while back, had a quick chat, and I know you've got a lot of stuff that you wrote down here, and there's so much to unpack here. But ex-Royal Marine or former Royal Marine, when did you leave?
2011. 22 years.
Yeah,
left in 2011.
And didn't you then go into the corporate world?
I did. I went straight into corporate in Sweden. I lived and worked for out of a place called Örnsköldsvik, north of Stockholm. I worked for BAE Systems Hägglunds as a whole plethora of things. I got sent everywhere. Knowing a whole lot of stuff about Viking, particularly because I was on the trials team for Viking, BVS 10. But I teach people on BV2 6S, a whole load of stuff. Literally all over Europe and into Australia.
But you've left that behind?
I have left that behind, and I left all of that behind, thankfully. Went to Australia for 9 years, worked at corporate there, did so many different things there. Started my own business there, which I've now just rekindled. I've just left. So I've been back in the UK now for 3.5 years. No regrets about leaving Oz. My best mate's still in Oz. I'm going to see next month in France. But yeah, I've gladly left corporate world.
And what would you class yourself as now?
Semi-retired is what I would class myself as. But I mean, pretty much I am a self-employed. I run a business now called A Force of Inspiration, which I'd started out in Australia. It was great. Did loads of good stuff, little mini world record and all the other bits and pieces. But fundamentally now I teach people how to be good leaders, not from a generic book that you can get from whatever organization. It's based on their personality. So I developed the training course for like 10 individuals ordinarily, but also for mentor one-to-one on how to be a good leader, even if they're, let's call it the insights of red, yellow, blue, green. So it doesn't matter what type you are, because some people we know are good, inherently good leaders. Some, better personality types make those better leaders, but try and make those people who perhaps aren't the right personality type of good leaders to be good, just by giving them a mirror, basically. You're this personality, you're a bit shit, or you're really good, or whatever else is in between. And it's what I call the big wet fish moment. They go, oh, I didn't realise I was like that. Yeah, well, I'm here to be honest with you in a diplomatic way, because that's how it should be, to do that. And he was incredibly successful.
So am I right in calling you a leadership coach?
Yes, I'm a leadership coach, I think. And I think, I say I think, because I guess it's...
Yeah, it's a funny one. There's someone I met for a meeting a couple of weeks ago who is I would call them a leadership coach, but they don't call themselves a leadership coach. And they couldn't actually really define what they do because their leadership style was so different.
Yeah.
Probably similar to what you do.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is different. It is definitely, people go on I started the whole thing, it probably gives some more context to it, is I left BA Systems Australian. So I went to Australia, worked for BA Systems 3 years, got my permanent residency, and I went, right, cheers, I'm having enough of that green stuff, because I'm doing that all the time. And actually I got to Australia and they sent me back to Sweden on a vehicle project, which was great. But I left there, then I worked for a training organisation. I won't mention the name, but it was one of the worst places I've ever worked. Absolutely terrible, toxic, facade, great, looks great, do this. I got my training course there to become an instructor of sorts. I had to have that tick on the box. And off the back of that, all my students, when I knew I was leaving, said, you should start your own business. I was like, okay, well, I will do. And we will learn more from you than we do from this book. I thought, well, that makes sense. I've done quite a lot. I've done an innumerable amount of things, both in the Corps, as an athlete, or as a soldier, or as a recce guy, or whatever else. But fundamentally for me, it was like, well, how can I make it best for everybody else? I don't think there's any greater gift. I certainly get most out of helping other people in some manner. And I saw it as a way to, I can help lift you up, did it on my command courses, basic training, how can I help you get through with this, many hours, finish your stuff. I remember done with juniors particularly. I won't mention his name either. It won't be Lukey. I remember helping him with his lecture. You in PTI, Lukey was. And I'm helping with his lecture, like, so much, because he was so nervous, which was so weird because he became a club stringer. I mean, go figure. But he was brilliant. I mean, he's so good. But I just remember the benefit that I had, the feeling, should I say, from benefiting him by helping him through. I thought, this is how it should be. I don't think you can get, for me at least, no better feeling than helping others. I think it's so rewarding.
I could definitely second that. As doing what I do is very incredibly rewarding when you make a massive impact and a change in someone's life. So those leadership styles then, is that stuff you've learned, or you feel that's your natural self coming out?
Bit of A and a bit of B. I did. I think when you go through the Corps, you're exposed to some really good leadership, but you're also exposed to some absolute shithousery. I mean, just some of the leaders I had wouldn't follow to the shots. I mean, I really wouldn't. I'm one guy who came in as I was about to go to Ireland for my last tour, mid-90s, and this guy we had as a troop boss, he was, I mean, horrendous. I genuinely wouldn't follow him to the naffy. To the point where he was so poor, they didn't send him. He was only one pipper. He just joined the troop, joined Charlie Company, and they sent him. He didn't go to Ireland because he had a couple of NDs when we were on patrol, right? And he sort of gob off to everyone, you do this, do that. I'm like, oh, calm down, get back to Limpson, give yourself some personality. And he had a couple of NDs, and not what you need. And I'm just skipping over a bit, really. But I think the other things I've done in the Corps, I did some work in intelligence out of Chicksons, this interrogators course. There's some combat psychology done work on as well. And that gave me a huge boost as well to understanding how people were. I tried to beat the system when I used the basic 16 personalities. I said basic, but 16 personalities assessment. It's free. So I used that when I was my Force of Inspiration when I set up in Oz, because it was free. And so, right, send that to you, do it. It doesn't cost you anything. I'll get your personality back. And no matter how many times I tried to cheat the system, you answer all these questionnaires and it comes in you at different angles. I was like, and the answer is, I'm a protagonist. Again, really? So I went, okay, well, let's embrace that. What does that actually mean? It says I'm a good leader. Am I? Yeah. Have I made mistakes? Absolutely. Do people hate me sometimes because of my leadership, because of things I've done? Absolutely. But what I would say, for the most part, for 99% of those times when other people have looked in and critiqued to the point where, oh, you're shit, and I've had that a fair amount, certainly from different events I've done in the past, those people were generally people who never led. I think if you are critical of a leader, it's okay as long as you've led. If you haven't led, shut the fuck up. You have no idea how difficult that can possibly be. And a good example again is BA Systems in Australia. It was a really good guy. Well, I say really good guy. He was a bit quirky. He was an engineer. So, you know, I mean that in a nice way. Generally they are. And he was brilliant. Whatever he did with this vehicle, he was just genius. Boring as batshit because, you know, glass eye to sleep type stuff, but really good. And they promoted him into a leadership role. Guess what? They had a shit engineering team now because he'd gone. And then this team was absolute crap as well. Because he's never been taught, but he's a really good leader. No, he's a really good engineer. He's not a good leader. And that failed miserably. And then everyone thought, oh, you're crap. Well, no, he is, but what has he got in terms of training? Which is another indicator about why it is important to have that. And I think in the corporate world, I found that a lot. You know, some people in, you know, my last job, I was so excited to get names, 3 times my salary, and yeah, okay, right, and okay, you've breathed in, now you have to breathe out, okay, and repeat until you die. Because I don't get how difficult it is for people just to comprehend how to lead and how to manage. But then, in fairness to them, they've gone up through. You don't automatically become good at being a manager or a leader by just going up the chain with that. What sort of style? Yeah, what style are you? What have you actually learnt leadership wise? Well, no, I've just been doing this job for 20 years. Okay, well now you're operations director or something else, and you're leading people. Well, what have you done? Oh, not really been taught. We're very fortunate, I think, in the military as a whole. And you can argue the toss about, you know, and I think it's across all of them. You pass or fail. Junior command course, senior command course from my side. I mean, you always think basic training's hard, and then you do your juniors and go, mate, training was easy. It wasn't easy. It was just a reminder that you do this and you do leadership stuff as well. And then you do your seniors, which is by far the best kept secret in the Corps. Those who are about to go on to seniors that listen to this, enjoy it, fellas.
I never got that far, but when I was waiting to transfer to the Navy, I was working in the SIG store, and I'd have all the seniors come in, like looked like broken nods, and I was just like, what's the course? Like, what's the course?
It's horrendous. I was really good. I think it was actually on my juniors. It wasn't. It might have been Milwaukee. I can't remember. What? Just how tired you are, and you think you're tired in you know through your 30 weeks, etc. You have no, I mean, you generally have no idea. So I think it was on my juniors, the fine legs. I remember overlooking somewhere in Centrebridge, looking down onto this farmhouse. We were in like an OP or a harbour. We were on the Cornwall Harbour, and there was a little old farmhouse, and then next to it was a little shed, and there was this green door flapping in the wind. You could see it, and he goes, Toddy, yes, mate. Can you see that house? I went, yeah. So it's 2 o'clock. Yeah, fine. Look down. You see that door to the right, and the story's a bit more drawn out this, but I'll do the quick version. Look down. Yeah, we're looking through my sight. Yeah, see, it's that green door that's flapping. Yep. So I've just seen a Dalek go in there. So, get your head down, mate. And I said that. He went. He was gone. He was fucking gone. He was hanging there. You know, there's no Doctor Who aliens here, mate. It was, but funny. But he was absolutely exhausted. And the inside said, "Right, just get your head down for a minute, mate." He was gone. He was gone because you're just trying to focus. You don't want to fall asleep because they are just tricky. The singers is horrendous. It's just brilliant.
The beauty that certainly the Royal Marines, and I'm sure it's the same with other military or not, I don't know. When it comes to leadership, you've all got to do the same course, the same standard, the same criteria, the same this. Of course, personality and bits and pieces come out. So in theory, you should produce the same sort of leader. In the corporate world, perhaps you've got a CEO who's built a company and he's done really, really well, or she's done really, really well. And then they've got 2 staff and then 10 staff and then 20 staff, and they built a pyramid underneath them. But that person started at the top, hasn't got a fucking clue how to lead, and all of a sudden has X amount of staff under them.
Yeah, totally. And don't get me wrong, there are some exceptional leaders in the time that I've had, worked in, so many different countries, and worked in Sweden, worked in the UK now, and then worked in Oz. So my only real feel for corporate life in the UK was, 3.5 years ago, I moved back. I got my job in a heartbeat from a mate, bootleg at the Network Works, and he got me in, Briosha. Cheers, Brian. And and it works. And there's some exceptional guys. My boss there, a guy called Adam Marchand, brilliant. Nothing, I mean, same age as my eldest son. And I remember asking Andy into it, how would you feel about having somebody in charge of you who's, you know, the age I am? I mean, I've had young officers that, you know, I wouldn't be over keen to follow again rather than just you. So I don't have a problem with age. It's not a thing. As long as you're a good boss. And he was and is still exceptional. But I say there is that disconnect somewhere where they have no idea because they haven't grown into it. They've just plopped in there. Right, there you go. Well, how does that work? Well, it doesn't. You know, you think you're good, but there's not many people going to say to you, look, you're shit. Okay, well, now you're out of a job. Okay, cheers for that. But yeah, I think we do have that. At the same time, though, take about the juniors and seniors, where it does sort of fall down in some ways is when you're helping your mates. There's always that team, you know, in the coursemanship, you're going to help the guy. And some of the guys really do struggle, but you'll still help them through. And then by doing so, you kind of hope they grow into that, whichever they were kind of failing at. And, you know, we get to a point where you struggle on a couple of bits and pieces. But yeah, get them through. And you just hope that they mature remembering that. Some do, I'm sure. Some don't. I don't know. But they get through the end of the course and they get, you know, you get your ABCs in terms of scoring. Those who get a D.
Do you think the command courses that we're talking about in the Corps, do you think they actually do teach leadership?
I think they bring the best out of you in terms of they drop you in hot to those parts of leadership that you need to learn. Do they teach you leadership? I think we all have it in us. I think it's just like, in some way, whether it's good or bad leadership, I think they just take away some of the layers to expose that leadership potential. I think we all have to have it because it's just part of our DNA. But I think it just takes away the need to step back from not being a leader. You've got to be a leader. You're a corporal. All right, well, you've got to be a leader. Well, I don't want to be. Well, get back to get back to the store then, being a whatever else it is, or you're a young Marine, you know, 45 years old or whatever. I think they do teach it, but I think it's only into positions of, right, well, you've now got to, because you're doing a section tack, and you either win or don't, you know. And some of the guys you think, oh, he's going to be really good at this, and you see them do it and you go, okay, he wasn't, but okay, well, how can we help you if you do this, this, and this? What's an example? Seniors doing the one of the guys, a guy called Stu Robinson, good mate, and he is on the same seniors. I mean, the shit we used to get up to on that was hilarious, and I won't go into it now. It'll be in my book. He picked me to be his runner as he's doing his troop sergeant's appointment. And I got picked for that because I got an A for my troop sergeant. So, oh, who do you want as a runner? Toddy, I love you. Okay, cool. So I just like, how are you doing? Just do this, you know, sort of whisper in the ears, do this, 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 this. Oh, yep, forgot about that. Yep, little crack on. So you give them all the pointers. So there's that obviously teach them part of that leadership role, but they remember stuff and they have to remember stuff. They have your little cheat sheets, etc. But I remember running around somewhere in Sennybridge like an absolute bell end. I can't think of another way to describe it. And the troop boss, the troop officer, course officer, I forget his name, Major, and he said, how you doing? Colton Robinson, apparently, this is hearsay from Stu. He said, yeah, I'm good. And he said, how you doing? I said, where's your runner? He said, he's over there. So look at him, he's a fucking mess. I'm running around with all this 762 trying to fetch all this stuff, and I am come back and like, right, so how are you going on? And I'm absolutely soaked because it was baking hot, bizarrely for Sennybridge, baking hot. He said, everything all right? I said, yeah, couldn't be better, sir. Right, Stu? He said, is your rounds, mate? Do you want me to go again? Yeah, I went off again. He went, see, you're fucking nodded, sir. That was it. It was off. Gone, yeah, done. But you're just handing those little nuggets that you learn and pass them on. So yes, they teach you, but you also, that's the beauty of it. And that's the trust element to those guys that you serve with. Even though I didn't like everybody I served with and worked with, I know that I could look left and right at the time. I could always trust them if it happened because you could, and it just came part of it. So
I think there's a misconception. I certainly had this misconception that just because we've served in the military and we've maybe been a high-ranking officer or whatever, or glorious career, doesn't make you a good leader out of the military environment when he put you into a corporate business environment. And I found this out. So my experience working in football, I spoke about this on the podcast. I won't spin the Dits now. People need to go and watch those other episodes. But I was entered into a world of shit. I couldn't believe what I was seeing in terms of how a professional League One football club was being run, off the scale. And I've spun Dits on that on another one. But what I've never said is that for me, coming out of the military, going in as an S&C coach with the first team, I struggled and had to adapt very quickly to understand that, like, you can't just five-finger point and go, like, yeah, go, and like command and response. It just didn't work with very, very well overpaid footballers that were sort of in their mid-20s. They were some of them responded to me really well, others didn't. And I had to get the senior members of the team, the captain and the lads that were sort of the senior pros, and ask for help. And go like, how do I control you all? Like, because this is really difficult. Things like standards, turning up on time. Like if I was given an S&C session that started at 9:30 in the morning, lads would turn up at 9:30, and their argument was, "But you said 9:30," and I'm like, "What the fuck aren't you here 5 minutes before?" Or even some of the senior pros were there 20 minutes before, 15 minutes before, asking what the exercises were, trying to do a little bit extra. So I saw that as like, why is everyone doing it? And then the boys that would just rock up with their hands halfway down their pants and just be like, what? Yeah, we're here. Like, what do you want, sort of thing. And I was like, fucking raging. Like, and I had to ask for help. I had to say to the captain of the club, boys, like, what the fuck? And they taught me how to, because I was that cross between the management and the players. I sort of sat in the middle. So that was really interesting. Like, I just thought, I'm ex-military. I'll just come out and tell them what to do and they'll do it. Fuck off. Yeah.
That's the same principle, really. I said about that, guy with, running around around the training area like an idiot and just giving them little nuggets. That's exactly the same thing, I guess. That's what we'll do with this. You asking them, how do I work this? How do I work this appointment that I've got? It's the same. I guess you've got to, I don't necessarily have to like people, but if you understand the pain, then it's easier to convey a message of how you're going to help them, because you get it, and you'd have got it because you're going, well, why isn't this working? All right, you got the common sense, I guess, and the understanding and the experience. You go, well, I'm going to go struggle street or seek local knowledge. As you do if you get lost, what you can do, ask a local. You're going to find your way. I think that's it's quite profound, actually, those things go.
Why didn't you said it a minute ago and you put it here? Why don't people, some people hate me, and I understand why.
Like I said, I think perception, I would go into the names because it doesn't matter, to be honest. People don't like you. Why? Because we're different. That's okay. I mean, apart from, some of my, past relationships. And when I say relationship, I don't mean like personal relationships as in with, wife or etc. I just mean in relationship with everybody. A really interesting point. One of my students on his class, she was a Cambodian lady. I worked for like that training organisation. I taught them. I was teaching leadership, project management, and competitive systems, which is like Lean Six and all that sort of stuff, and how to improve Kaizen and everything. And they sold a company employed us. Anyway, this young lady was Cambodian, and with me, myself, her, and a sister, and this guy, we used to have something to eat afterwards. After the training session, she was already on a Friday afternoon, so I'd like finish a little bit earlier, like you do. And she remember saying to me once, she said, when you meet people, at that point of you meeting, you sign a contract. Theoretically, you sign a contract with that person. Now, at some point, maybe, that contract breaks. For whatever reason that is, that from a spiritual perspective for her, it was really important that you understood that broke, and it broke for a reason. Whatever that reason was, it could be whatever. Because you blended in together nicely for a start, and then things change, you change, your views change as you get older, etc. And this could be over a period of years, it could be a couple of weeks. And he said, but then the best thing to do is forget about that contract. It's done. Sometimes you renegotiate a contract with that person, however that looks, because you mend, build bridges, etc. And I think it's a really good way of looking at it. And I think with the people that I've annoyed and upset in the past, I'm sorry I did, but I'm also, it was meant to be. For all the people, for the most part, that, I mean, after one charity event, I had death threats after one charity event I did. It was ridiculous. Just because somebody would spin one element of a story, somebody would spin the other element again, and they didn't mate up because they're not supposed to. Because somebody saw it like this, you know, if we look at something from this way, something this way, and you're, well, you've only listened to one side of the story. Why wouldn't you listen to my side? Well, people aren't interested because they've heard one side, it must be truth, is one of the biggest failings ever. So with that, and one of the things I have learned over the years, even well before that particular time, was I remember taking over charge of back in my VM days, taking over charge of a workshop at Fort Commando. One of the lads there wasn't spoken highly of. I thought, well, you said he's crap. I'll decide whatever I think he's got. He might be brilliant to me. And he was great initially. Then I realised he wasn't as great, but, you know, because he was just painting this facade. I read through it fairly quickly, quicker than he thought I would, I guess. But, you know, never go into something like, oh, he's a shit person. Is he? He's shit for you, but he might not be for me. And that is the case. So everybody I meet, even if I hear ill of them, they're not. I've heard it, but that doesn't mean say they are.
I must admit, one of my biggest bugbears in life is when someone says, "Oh, he or she's a whatever," and I'm like, "Hang on, I'll be right. I'll judge that. Thank you very much." Because it's a poor human trait, isn't it? You're slagging someone off.
Yeah,
it's gossiping. It's something I'm definitely not keen on. I think we all do it in some shape or form as human beings.
Yeah.
But no, let me be the judge of that. Hang on, you brushed over something there. You had death threats from
So something happened at an end of the event, and I'd say I don't necessarily go into because it just sends up like name. I don't care because, you know, that boat as well long since sailed. But at the end of that, based on again this other view, not having had the whole story, I'd got messages through Facebook. If I can see you, I'm going to come for you. Good luck with that. Just hideous. And I thought, just done a really good thing.
Yeah, but based on what?
Based on somebody else's view of something that had happened in this particular event.
Your brush, can you not talk about this?
Not really, because I'll end up, you know, quite a high-profile person, really, I guess. And I have absolute respect for this person, and for the person they are and what they've done is incredible. And I say I'm not going to speak ill of them because I still have absolute admiration. We were really good mates. I'm actually really sorry that it ended up as it did, and I think there are other people that influenced the change of that dynamic and the friendship. So if he does ever watch this, I said I apologise now, mate, because I just wish we'd spoken afterwards. We haven't. That was 15 years ago. So it saddens me. I can't help but say it saddens me because he's a really good mate.
The person you are now, is that not something you can rekindle?
I could, but I guess only very recently that was still, there's still that sense of animosity sort of 9 years ago when I did my world record off the back of something there. Again, it doesn't matter how, but it's just, so from a personal level, I didn't see my kids for about 8-9 years when I was younger. My first wife, she can argue all this slide, said, I didn't stop them from seeing you. You kind of did. I took her to court and all this stuff, and nothing ever materialised. Fortunately for me, when I did my big run across America, my eldest had seen me on TV, and ultimately he had seen me on Eamon Holmes, with Eamon Holmes on GMTV, and messaged me out of the blue back in 2010. And so I just snapped my Achilles, so I couldn't run. I had to do mileage on a hand bike, which was horrific. And I went down to Plymouth to see him. He was about to Plymouth. Was it Plymouth? No, in fact, came down to Exeter. I was at Aldershot. I'd take my moon boot off because I was in a manual car, so I had to push through this bloody moon boot with my leg outstretched because my left Achilles was completely shot. And got there to see him and my youngest son at the end. We were both competing. First time they ever competed together. I watched them row. I've actually seen them row more than their mum. But I didn't see him for years. So the reason I say this is that I reached out to him just after his 31st birthday a couple of weeks ago, and he's still not interested. But he's only ever listened to one side. I gave him some elements of what I could tell him about. I don't understand why you still so very vacant from me, and it's horrible. But I've kind of got closure to a degree because I've actually reached out. So to your point, I could, but then I don't want the same as I just had. It's horrible. It's that I'll never see him grow. I mean, I don't know him. He's a stranger, you know. Whereas with Lewis, we've had that contact back now for what, 15 or so years, and it's brilliant.
Your boy,
My eldest boy.
so you have got that back.
My eldest son, not my youngest son. Yeah, so
Can you have to talk about that from years? What happened to the breakdown in the
yeah.
relationship?
So short story. I was already in Sweden short notice, and she wasn't happy. Couldn't see him the weekend I was supposed to have him. I'll get your current wife to pick him up. That's not going to happen. She's not here. It doesn't matter. It's not her place. It's my place. And that's when the contact stopped. No answering the phone. No, you know, go down, knock on the door. Nobody answers the door.
20 odd years ago.
No, this is, when would this be? 2000, 2002, 2003. And then didn't really see him in any manner until 2010. And that's the rowing. And then since then, nothing. I saw Samuel at my youngest one, at my eldest son's wedding. He chatted to me after midnight, after his mum had gone to bed. He was so shit scared that she'd find him chatting to me. So we chatted for a couple of hours, and which was great. And they said, "Oh, I might reach out to you in the next year or two." But he hasn't. Yeah, it's 3 years ago. It's because that's soon after I got back from Oz. He hasn't. So I thought, well, I'm going to ask you what's going on. Apparently, he was quite incensed that I'd reached out to him, and how dare I reach out to him? Well, because I'm your dad, regardless whether you can brush it under the carpet or you're like, it's the truth. I thought, I just want some. Are you going to contact me? If you're not, great. I can kind of forget about it as much as I possibly can. You can't. I'd say you can, but you can't. So it's just shit. I feel sorry for him, you know, and for me, because I feel sorry, because I'd love to have a relationship, but he's chosen that what his mum said is true. He doesn't see past that. Okay, fine. Your brother gets more of me than he does, and Lewis and I have a great relationship. You know, I've got a grandson now. I've got 5 really, including Kathy and her kids. For fuck's sake, by TV. So with that, but I'm just sad for him, because he could get the benefit of me. That sounds really, well, look at you. No, I'm not a bad person. I've made mistakes. I have absolutely made mistakes, things that, you know, but your mum and I had a crappy relationship, and to think anything otherwise, that's why I left. Not you. I stuck around for many years when we shouldn't have been together because of you two. But they don't see that, or they didn't see that. Lewis gets it. Sam doesn't. Okay, well, what can I do? I can't force you to see me. You choose. But don't say it's my choice, when for the past 20 odd years, this is on you, mate. You know, even as a kid, you know, you're 31. You're not a kid anymore, but you're still choosing off the, you know, you've been taught the Quran on the Bible. There are 2 entities there. They're both truth in their own right. If you put it into that sort of terms, just because you've been taught the Quran doesn't mean you can listen to a bit of the Bible or read a bit of the Bible. But he's just interested in that side. So it's tragic. I feel sorry for us both.
Yeah.
Because we both miss out. But I want to be there, but he's written in. So
That's hard to hear, mate.
Yeah,
It's hard to hear. Obviously, I've got my kids, so I understand. I don't understand. I try and think about what. No, I don't want to think about that. So it's just weird.
yeah, situation, but so be it.
We've delved into your past a bit here.
Yeah, that's right. Let's keep get the couch out and
Let's keep digging. Talk about your growing up at school. So think about who you are now. What you're doing as this leadership coach, successful in the military, doing all that you do.
Yeah, I was bullied at school.
Yeah,
Absolute bullied at school. Yeah, I mean, why? I don't know. My parents, my dad's shit. I can't say any words. And that sounds the hypocrisy of that when I've just said what I said. But my dad he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
He's now in a home. He's got Korsakoff syndrome, which is alcohol-induced dementia. The man he is compared to the man he was, even though, you know, in the case of if in doubt, just batter the kids type thing. I mean, that was always the case, but it hurt. But it was an absent father that was around, because he was surrounded by, as long as he had his Bell's whiskey or he was down the pub. I mean, because we used to get home, we had to be home at a certain time. We couldn't go anywhere. As long as he got to the pub by opening time, that was okay. At school, I was bullied, certainly for the, I just remember, crazy. Although I do remember taking a bottle of whiskey into school, getting half the class shy at us, and God, I was in trouble. but I wasn't in trouble. I was in trouble, but I wasn't in trouble. I had to do detention for about 1,000,000 years. But I kind of became a cool kid, but I was still bullied, and just got through it. And then, just to add insult to injury, when I was leaving school, my mum got me a job. Got you a job, Saturday job. Great. What is it doing? You're a hairdresser. I was like, what's up, fucking what? I'm going to be a hairdresser. Okay. You wouldn't notice, would you, this flipping mop? And so I became a hairdresser. So I did a Saturday job, and they said, what we do when we leave school? Don't know. YTS, youth training scheme, £29.50 or £27.50 a week. I'm going to be a hairdresser. Oh, how'd that work out? Loved it. Absolutely brilliant. I was surrounded by women. It was genius. And women are nice, you know. I think most bootnecks would say women are nice. Yeah, well, you're two that only want to do that, probably don't. But yeah, it was great. It was a good job. I enjoyed it for 2 years. Did really well. And then a mate, effectively one of the best mates at the time, had tried to get in the Corps and failed, and bet me to join the Corps. Oh, you'd be pretty good in the Corps, you're pretty fit, etc. And I was a decent sprinter, absolutely, a decent long jumper and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, okay, why not? I had no idea what they did. So I careers office at Lincoln. Fast forward a little bit, went to Lincoln. Guy walked in, went, "Want to join the Royal Marines? What do you know about the Marines?" To be honest, not a lot. And he said, my mate told me about it. He's just failed his PRC. Oh, what did he fail on? Not sure. He said, follow me. Followed him round. He went, right. And he showed some of these stairs, this little, looking at the stairs. He went, if you go. I went, off you go what? And he said, go up. He's like, stop. Turn around. There was a pull-up bar. I went, right, a bit like these bars in here. I went, okay, fine. He said, up you go then. I went, okay, cool. So I started doing pull-ups. Fortunately, I think I'd always been just strong, I guess, been an athlete, I guess, for that, but upper body, I banged out 6 pull-ups. And he went, that's not bad. He said, now do one for me, do the Queen, etc. And of course, my legs now shaking like a shitting dog. So it was like, oh, okay, and whatever else. And okay, all right, not bad. Colour brochures, details, off you go. And that was it. That's how I went in. Within 2 weeks, I'd had my first interview, came back for the first interview, said to my boss, I'm out. They thought, ooh, my son, the guy come there, the best. I mean, he thought he was gutted because I was looking after his kids. He had 3 kids. I was balancing kids. Okay, you just take the kids out for some reason. Yeah. So I'd have push chairs. I'd have one in the arm and just, you know, hairdresser come babysitter. And I mean, they're great. I mean, all grew up to be real great lads. But yeah, I think he was gutted because, you know, I was a young lad, but like rocking all shit. I was on a course with 15 lasses. And in fact, I always remember telling the lads in the Corps, week 5 of training, the corporal, section corporal, Dave Seaton, said, right guys, we're going to come out the front, and we're waiting to get into the armoury as you do, queuing. Professional queuers, aren't we? If we can queue for anything, it's, yeah, we can do it. And he said, right, A to Z, but come out the front, tell us why you joined the Marines and what you did before. I was like that. Shit. I really don't want to do this. I know you fill stuff on your forms. I think I'd worked in Macca's as well for a while, McDonald's. So I think I'd probably put that on the forms. I hadn't probably mentioned that hairdressing. I thought, well, somebody's going to find out, so I'll just tell them. Everyone said, oh, I was a plumber. I joined up. My family's shit. I live in a shithole. I tried to get away. All this stuff. I said, and I came to me. I was like, come on, get in. Like, for God's sake, how long does it take to get a weapon? You know, I want hurry up already. He got to me, stood up front, and said, yeah, fair enough. I just wanted to get away from home because I'd just had enough. And it was the best thing of, you know, in working out, better than working inside all the time as well, I guess. I started working out and Dave's like, whoa, hang on a minute. What did you do before I joined the Corps? I was like, fuck. Wandered back out to her. I said, look, I know you'll laugh. I said, what was a lady's hairdresser? Oh, beefer, you know, which means gay, for those uneducated. I said, guys, I was on a course with 15 lasses. It was genius. It was brilliant. I had such a good time with them. They were brilliant. The college days, do 1 day a week at college with all the lasses. And they go on, all my other mates were in there doing brickies, and, you know, a good mate of mine, Hodge, he was a brickie, and I got to hang out with his mates. And of course, they kind of liked too, like, oh, is he gay? And they're like, okay, he's definitely not gay. But then they kind of liked it because I go across and I'm like this little harem of chicks. And there was I remember 2 lads who were on the full-time college course, and I think one of them was gay, and one not. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, there's that instant, oh, you're a hairdresser. All right, hello, sailor, sort of thing.
I had, I was a cop before I joined, but only for 5 minutes. I was in training, basic training. I got sacked, got invited to leave as I call Yeah, I've spun that one a few times on various podcasts. Yeah, I did. I got invited to leave, and that was my world finished because I thought that's what I wanted to do. I'd been a prison officer, got into police training college. I was breezing through it, loving it, and yeah, just made a few errors. And this is 2002. So I went to the careers office. My brother was a para. He'd been 2 years in the paras, and I went with the intention of joining the army, but there was a bootneck sat there. So it's funny hearing you say that story because most people that come on this podcast, I always feel embarrassed to tell my story because people sit in front of me and go, "Yeah, it was my lifelong dream and I did all this preparation." I'm like, I literally just turned out and went, "Right, what's the crack here then?" And that was it. I think it was 3 months later, I had to lose some weight, do a bit of running, and I found myself at Limpston, the old PRMC, and it was 2 weeks and you're in.
Yeah.
So, not too dissimilar. That's funny that. Okay, now, what year did you join?
89. Yeah, May 89. So I just had a 36-year reunion, 36-year reunion back in the May, and it was great. Down here, which again, it's just a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah. You brushed over a few things here. World records. And you'd mentioned Big Run USA. What the hell's that? Start on that one.
So 2008, came up with this idea to run across America to raise money for charity. Why? I actually thought about it as a good idea, having watched the brother of the guy who failed to get in the Marines, who also tried to get in the Marines and failed, Andy and Mark Lennon, and they'd failed to get in. But having watched Forrest Gump, I sat with Andy, my best mate, I've watched Forrest Gump, and I said, imagine that. Great movie, of course. Or I haven't met people who've not, I haven't seen that. You're like, have you not seen Forrest Gump, for God's sake?
No, who are these people?
Yeah, they're randoms. And I said, imagine if you ran across America, amazing sights you'd see, and at that time, I'd only been there once. I went on the Corps tour, the original Corps tour in '94, which was still 2 weeks, the best 2 weeks of probably my life in the Corps. It was amazing. And then fast forward 2008, and I saw the guys who come back from Afghan, and I went, I've got to do something. So imagine if I do that instead of being a run, across America. I asked, basically coming out in general, I got top cover straight away because I knew, understanding the Corps was very much as well as I did at the time. I was about 18, 19 years in then, so I thought, I know I'm going to hit roadblocks with this shit because people go, having done track athletics for the most part of the first 13 years and bobsleigh and all that other stuff, that I would get some resistance. For life, fuck I did. I mean, you can't, I honestly, mate, again, surrounded by really good people, but the instant you get a sniff of a bit of what they see as time off, how they think running a marathon every day for 63 days is time off, but it just means you're not doing duties, you're not doing other shit. Trust me, far worse. Managing that team, horrendous. 2 and a bit years of planning and fighting fuckwits in senior positions. How do you think you're going to do this? Well, we did this and we didn't. I said, hold my pint. Yeah, so Virgin Atlantic, Boeing, Garmin, Thales, all these amazing sponsors was hard work. The way I talk about that event as a whole thing, for the most part, and do some really good, I had some incredible experiences and memories from that with everybody, all really super positive, some very negative ones, as I've kind of alluded to. But I'm still incredibly proud of everybody who was on the run up to it. We had to move the date. Monty Halls was supposed to be involved, and he was a former bootneck officer, does his TV programs, and lives down here somewhere with his, Sea Dog production. I think he's a really nice guy who was supposed to do it with us, and the rug got pulled under us. I had to change the team. It was just an absolute shit show because of some fuckwombles down at HQRM. And you can quote me. They were, and they still are. I'll never forgive them. But there's always that element of jealousy. So coming to do the run across America, the Gumpathon, sort of Forrest Gump marathon, Gumpathon, 3,530 miles in 63 days from New York to Los Angeles, raising money for Help for Heroes, the Royal Marines charity, and the Semper Fi Fund, which was an American charity which supported US Marines. And it was brilliant, but also not. But it was brilliant for the not parts because I learned so much about where I failed as a leader, as a manager. But the way I look at it now, I've looked back and tried to describe that whole thing as a piece and an entity. Again, I'm really proud of myself and the team because we, as much as it was painful, we got it over the line, raised 120 odd thousand quid. The bad part about it was I learned so much about how to be better. Speaking to people directly, not expecting somebody to pass a message, which should have failed. Okay, well, if you just sell such this, or can you ask them this? No, I'll go to that person. I don't want you to convey a message. I will go to that person. Certainly in the corporate world, because it's the jungle drums. I'll tell you this, and the chomp goes this was, and they get past you. Any chance you can do this? And it ended up being, you're a dickhead. That would be the kind of message got passed, because it's the tone and inference of all that face to face is so lost. So if I can be good to you, and again, apologies for those I let down, but I'm grateful for the learning experience to be better now, because I am better for that experience.
How did you let people down?
Just by not speaking to them directly, trying desperately, but I try harder now. So I can't get hold of them. Right, I need to speak to you directly. There's no we need to speak directly, because that way you'll understand from the body language and from my tone of voice and this. If I say to you, can you just tell Kathy outside that I'm going to do this, isn't it? You'll just tell her. But the importance of it, you might not convey unless I say to you, can you be nice about it? It's more effort to do that rather than I'll just go tell myself. You can do that in some leadership positions. So you say to my lads, right lads, I need this to happen by this time, and if you need any problems, you come back to me. Any questions? Any question written up? Okay, done. So know what to do, when to do it by. Any problems, come back to me. It's not a problem. There is a problem if you haven't done it by that time. That's a problem. So all those things you learn through that period of 2.5 years in that, and then the 63 days of facilitating that event. It was a hike. It was my car. Everybody else, because they didn't really get invested into it. Didn't really do a lot towards it, to be fair, apart from one or two people. It was a hire car, and so they just used it in a good way for themselves to enjoy the pain of running a freaking marathon every day.
So just go back to the actual event itself, though. Are you on your own running?
No, it was supposed to be on my own, but I had a relay team. So there's 4 or 5 of us, and we do like a relay, but like 4 of us a day running. And for the mileage, you do make it easy. You do a marathon, you do a marathon, you do a marathon, you do a marathon. Go to bed, wake up, you do a marathon, you do a marathon. Pretty much. There's some miles less, some miles more.
So you did a marathon every day?
For 63 days, bar 5 days.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's fucking horrendous. Yeah, I know, and it's where I didn't do it is because I snapped my Achilles 8, 9 weeks before, 7 weeks. I can't remember exactly the week, so I snapped my Achilles, so I couldn't run. So I had to get a hand bike, lastminute.com, which I called Achilles for nothing, and it was like the wish.com version of a hand bike. You look at hand bikes now, and
Do you mean physically on the road?
Yep, like in a hand bike, sat on my ass.
You were doing that?
Yeah, but it was like that, but it wasn't like that. That would be easier, but it's like that. And anybody who can attest to actually spent time with a hand bike, downhill, obviously, piece of piss. Uphill, we had I think a message from Garmin, one of the sponsors. My average heart rate on a hill, bear in mind 39 at this time, average heart rate on a hill was 200, 204. A bit old to be that. I maxed out at 211 because we had heart rate monitors, etc. But I had the cardio of that. I'd been running, I'd been doing like 11 miles in the morning, 12 miles in the evening, because that's how we split it up. We actually split it up. You run 11 miles, have 36 miles off, give or take, or 33 miles off, and then you do your last mileage. So you'd have a big gap to stretch, get in the ice bath and all that sort of stuff.
You snapped your Achilles before the event?
Yeah.
So you did the whole thing handbike?
I did my marathon every day on a handbike.
So you had to do, obviously, training for 8 weeks on the handbike?
Well, yeah, I didn't get the handbike until 2 weeks before.
Oh, so yeah, straight in.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Silver medalist, Paralympian, wrote to, any top tips to get on a handbike? I'm going to do marathon every day on a handbike for 62 days. Firstly, Damian, Todd, thank you very much for your service, appreciate it. Second, are you insane? Well, maybe, but ever else. I remember one of the lads who was on it, Jobbo, he went on, he was the youngest lad, and he kept getting injured for whatever reason, I don't know, but he was, bless him, I felt so sorry for him. And he did some of his mileage on the handbike. I remember watching him going through somewhere over the west side of the States, and he was blowing out his arm. The wind was blowing, he had like his hoodie on, and he was blowing like, into it. And run, you can sort of just put your head down and plod, but this, you're just catching it. And I say to people in 21st gear on the flat, there's 24 gears on this thing, little BMX wheels, not big rollers, it's 20-inch BMX wheels on this thing. It was shit. It was, but like I say, it was a wish.com version of a decent hand bike. And in 21st gear, on the flat, no wind, 500 reps was a mile, 500 reps. So go to the gym and do 500 tricep pull downs, rows, push it. It was horrific. It was horrific.
Sounds it. But that, how much, and is that where the 150 grand came from?
So the other is from my world record in jiu-jitsu, which I did on the day after my 48th birthday in Australia. And the reason I did that, 2016 was a difficult year. I was in Australia, living in Adelaide. I've been training I first put my gi on in jiu-jitsu. I've done some MMA stuff when I was still in, with a guy called Pete Jordan, legend, and I think Martin Stapleton, he came down. And we did this, one of my best mates, he took his own life 2016, and he messaged me late at night, or I got the ins and outs, but he messaged me late at night, and then next morning he'd taken his own life, which would have been, local time in the afternoon here, because I was getting my head down in Oz. And that was 2016. The same year, I'd lost the feeling in my legs and my arms, effectively, and my groin. Couldn't feel if I was pissing or pooing. My neck had degraded with my discs post a bobsleigh incident 2001 when I crashed quite badly. My fault. I was a pilot, so who are you going to blame me? And over the period of the next sort of 15 years, it kind of got missed. I had a bit funny feeling down my arm. It kind of got missed by Pusser. Of course it does. Hey, no worries. Hearing test, great. Pump my neck. You'll be all right, mate. So I got it off fist, and then fast forward a few years, and my neck's a bit funny. But my legs. So I had different scans, and then when they scanned my neck, I had 4 or 5 discs squeezing my spinal cord almost flat. And then that was in the May, June, and by October I lost the feeling in my legs. I said I couldn't feel if I was pissing or pooing. And my hands, if I could feel my hands, they were shaking. But if they weren't shaking, I just couldn't feel them. It was horrendous, incredibly scary. And they said, right, we've got to go in here, take all the discs out, put a cage in, couple of spacers, bit of plastic spacers, whatever it is, and some screws. All good? Yeah, can I still do jiu-jitsu? Yeah, you can. My surgeon was a blue belt, which was great, because he understood the benefit to me and my mental health that jiu-jitsu clears away, and certainly say it's got a good fit. It's incomparable. It's the best therapy ever. And so I couldn't do anything in 2016. Fast forward a couple of years, I'm back on the mats, and I said to my coach at that time, any chance I can use your gym? I had 3 no-shows, 3 no answers to him, and I think, right, fuck this. Went to my best mate, I said, any chance we can do, I want to roll for 24 hours to raise money for this charity called Are You Okay? Interested? Fucking hell, bro, you do it. It's Tuesday, best mate. And we did it at his gym. So on the 22nd of February, day after my 48th birthday, I started at midday. I grappled against 230 opponents over 24 hours, until midday the next day in fucking 34 degrees. Even at night it was 29. It was fucking roast. Some people are right there, in the middle of summer. What would be a good time to do it? Summer in Australia. Genius. Fucking hell. But these misters and system. The live stream was watched by 42 different countries. I had messages from some of the top level guys. In the art, some of those guys were ambassador Craig Jones, and some of the UFC guys were ambassadors, and they're big advocates for it. And we raised $40,000 to go to this Are You Okay charity. I remember, it was brilliant. It was
incredible, yeah. So talk me through the logistics of actually doing that. So 230 people, like how often are you having a break? How often, what's the intensity? When are you having food or water?
Some of those fuckers thought it was world champs. Obi, I've never tapped him. I'll get him 18 hours deep. Smash. You're like, mate, what are you doing? And even I was like, what? You know, he's been rolling for 18 hours. What are you doing? So fundamentally, 3 hours 48. So I'd be doing 5 minutes on, 1 minute off, 5 minutes on, 1 minute off. The 1 minute off, I'd step off, get a picture of the first person. It's a great little short video. So you see the degradation of man. This, like this. And at the end, I'm giving glasses like that. I looked, 3 cracked ribs, nose bleeding twice, black eyes, face is so sore from gi because it was in the gi as well, which again it heightens that intensity of heat, keeps it nice wrapped up, thermal qualities. Gi rash, they went out to get more Vaseline. So middle of the night I had to go out to like one of the service stations, get more Vaseline, and then put Vaseline on the counter, and then so we slipped bananas on the counter as well. Going, Vaseline, bananas. Oh no, I'm taking a piss. But my face was just covered in Vaseline. So when I'd get that minute off, I'd walk off, and there's a guy called Chris or I can't really get the guy's name now, embarrassingly, and they just rub it on my face. I was like, oh my God, I can't even tell you. It was so good.
That's
Yeah.
so I've never done the in thing, which is jujitsu, apart from flailing my 15-year-old lad on a nightly basis, which is good fun, but he's getting quite big, so I have to put a lot of effort in. But it's a hangout, right? So I'm trying to get my head around how you keep that up for that amount of time. I don't know. I remember people are coming in fresh, wanting to fill you in.
Fresh. Even though, sort of, I struggle to remember from 9 p.m. through to midnight. And at midnight, I had an IV stuck in me with some extra fluids, and it was like, I came back, woo, yeah, let's fucking go. I don't know what was in it, some go-go juice or whatever else. But I was definitely dehydrated. I lost 5.2 kilos on that day. Not the best weight training plan, weight loss training plan, I would suggest. But at 3 hours 48, we'd have 12 minutes. So because I was just soaked. My gi was just piss wet through. So I had some really good sponsors, Continuous Flow, and loads of others. And I go off, strip my kit off, bollocky buff, getting this ice bath. And the first couple of ice baths were great, and then I was like, I'm not going in. I don't want to go in. You get in there, I don't want to get it. And I go in there daily now. I love my ice bath. It's brilliant. But for that, I just didn't want to know. So off, fresh clothes on, bit of a massage, repeat 6 times. Some people came in nice, think, it would be black belts, because I was a newly promoted purple belt. I got a purple belt in January. To the point where my other best mate, Mick, in Oz, had said he'd rolled with me with December. Bear in mind, I was practicing a lot for this. I'd learnt to take my fingers, because my fingers were like, I'd cauliflower finger, which were just like, my knuckles were just so sore. Because, fingers supposed to do that. They're not supposed to be ripped this way, so you tape them together to stop that. But you're just getting ripped all the time. And I'm doing 20 hours of like full-on hard grappling. I'd roll around Adelaide, and sometimes into Victoria State, I'd just get the rounds in, open mat to open mat to open mat, or just a 6-hour open mat at my place, and I just roll for 6 hours in
preparation for this.
In preparation for it, yeah. Because you're not going to do like, how many hours are you going to do prep? Well, I'm not going to do 24. I can't practice it. So yeah, I mean, the support was incredible. It's surprisingly how many clubs there are. There's 20 odd clubs that I've visited, separate clubs, for a place of only, 1 million and 1.2 million people. And everyone got around it. One of my favourite memories is around about, that I could remember, just after midnight, was the guys from 10th Planet who don't wear the coveted cloth. They're all no-gi and talking secret codes under Eddie Bravo, which is great. I love it. And those guys, Daniel, as the head coach there, was brilliant. But there's guys from other clubs, there's some bootlegs in there that had flown in from interstate that I didn't know were coming to sort of surprise me. One of the guys was actually a troop in training, all this stuff. And they came, I looked around and went, this is fucking awesome. I created, through my idea, with all the help of my ex-wife at the time and my best mate at Sue's day, and so many other people, too many to mention, and had come in and gone, we want to get behind this because what you're doing is stupid. Who actually is. Why? My very first coach in the gi coach, a guy called Mike Utama, who sadly took his life a year and a half ago now, to suicide. But there's some, I'm gutted in so many ways that he kind of didn't get behind it. Not in a bad way. I mean, his dad, because I trained there for up until I got a blue belt. I was his fastest promoted blue belt. He gave me a blue belt after 10 months, which was quite quick. It is quite quick. But I'd done my MMA stuff with the no-gi. I was just an angry 43-year-old bootneck who just wanted to squeeze the fuck out of everybody. In fact, he's named one of my passes stroke submissions as the Obi Crush, because I just crush people. He's like, raw smash. Just because of what it is. And he's a derivative of a well-known pass. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But Mikey took his own life. And I'm gutted because at the time he was kind of apathetic towards it. And when I said to him I was going to do this 24-hour roll, he said, because there's no standing record. He said, well, why don't you just do 12 hours? And I said, because you just said so. Because you think that's possible. But when I say 24 hours, and you go, there's no way I'm doing 24 hours. Yeah, so kind of sad that for whatever reason, he's not around, again, just one of the many that go. I mean, I've been there. I know what it's like to be not wanting to be around a couple of times, significant times. But I'm glad I am, because I'm on this podcast. But also just because life's very precious. And the only thing I've learned that I now struggle with is fear of death. That's my thing, is seeing death as that, for me, a non sort of religious person, as shutting the door. It's all very dark and lights go out, and that's what I think. Is there something else? Great. But what I think, Ricky Gervais style, I'm going to die and not be done. So my intention, and I certainly have sing off the same song sheet as the wife, is we're just going to enjoy what we can. Try and build bridges where he could. So maybe prompted me to do something with that this weekend while I'm down here. But I'll maybe I will do that. I'll suck it up, and if I get a door slapped in my face like my son did, then okay, well, at least I've tried. Because like I said, I am sorry for that stuff. I've learned, and hopefully they have as well.
You've ended this sort of on a bit of a threaders one there, but nicely. It's finished that off well, and I don't know. I feel like there's some positivity there, and like you've spoken probably that much of what we can talk about. We could go again and again and again, but there's some cool stuff in there. You've made me laugh, and you've spoken your book. Let's go on that quickly before we finish.
Some really good news on that. I've got a publisher as of Tuesday this week, which I'm fucking super chuffed about, I have to say, and it's F-bomb. I've tried to limit my F-bombs, but I'm so chuffed. It's called Dits. It'll be out hopefully before the end of the year.
So this podcast will be released in the autumn. So we're recording this course in the summer.
Perfect. Yeah, it's called Dits. I'll promote it on LinkedIn and all those things when I get things a bit more in solid. Even if I didn't get a publisher, it's coming out. I've written 120,000 words, of which 60,000 are finished, as I see finished, and they're good. And obviously you're going to read those bits now because you're now tempted. Because
I will.
Yeah.
So we know what it is. Dits. Tell us.
So Dits is what you'd refer to as being a story, a good story. So a good ditty. So if you pull up a sandbag, you spin a good dit. I think the core, and I think just the army as a whole runs on, and the Navy, whatever, it runs on stories. The amount of times you'll go, oh no, I've got a good dit for you. It's a mega dit. Oh, hoofing dit, like a really good dit, a really good story. And rather than just be war stories about this, my frontline combat experience for some of the guys is incomparable. I did more stuff separate to that, which I'm pleased. I'm pleased. I was chatting to Ads about this, about the guys who backed back Afghans. Man, I'm so sorry for them, because it wasn't 6 months, it was 18 months, and then another 18 months when they pre-deploy and all the stuff they come back with afterwards. But the other bits, the bits that the guys do all the time, which isn't frontline stuff, is, well, went on deployment, what happened there? I went to Norway, did this, it wasn't combat, which is the really juicy stuff, but it's equally juicy stuff in, oh, mate, I trapped this bird here and this, that. So it's called the first book, and I've probably got 5 books. So I've got a list of 90 odd stories. I keep adding to this. Oh, remember you did this? Oh, no, wait there. I'll text myself. I'll write it on my list. I keep adding to the bottom. So I've got about 90 odd stories that I can think of that I know from my experience and bits and pieces. So there's at least 5 books. Dits, the good, the bad, and unrepeatable. Good, because they're good dits. End up being good, bad, not so good. Talk about PTSD and how that works or doesn't work. And then unrepeatable. I've changed names just to keep people out of shit, because they're either still married, not married, shouldn't be married, or whatever else. Or just contextualizing stuff which you couldn't speak about. So I put the disclaimer front, maybe this did or didn't happen. Never let a lie get in the way of a good dip. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about that, because I wanted to do this for years, and I've been writing it on off for years. And a lot of poetry I do as well, which is pretty hard hitting and talks a lot about PTSD, widow stories and stuff. How I see that from, that's how people are injured. Yeah, it's exciting. So
top man. So episode 23. This has to be. We've got to do this again. There has to be a part B to this. This is part A. There has to be a part B. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's great I've not done any talking. They're my favorite.
I can do that, mate.
No, they're my favorite podcast. I can just sit and listen, but I've thoroughly enjoyed that. And definitely, I will read the bits that you've sent me on your book. I promise, I triple promise. And when it comes out, I'll plug it the best I can. If it's out when this podcast gets released, this can be about the autumn. Of course, we can put links below. Obiwan, Damian, Todd.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure. Top man.
Cheers, buddy.